What's up, my people? Welcome back to Vertical Football. Welcome back to another episode of the Manchester United Fans Corner. I remember my humble self, Segun. And guys, we are here to analyze a player, João Gomes from Wolves. Guys, a lot of analysis we have been doing in this period, international break. We're having time to relax, to also analyze based on the upcoming transfer windows. And as usual, we are letting another midfielder again, João Gomes from Wolves. So guys, you guys know we have two profiles that we've clearly defined on the podcast. The first is the guy that sits, the guy that acts as a screen to the defense, that has variation of passes. And secondly, we said we want a kind of a box-to-box midfielder, someone that's high energy, that can push the team forward, with movements with the ball and all those kind of things. So the profiles are clearly defined. So let's talk about João Gomes. Let's talk about where he fits in. And I think clearly when you look at João Gomes, you already know where he fits in the two profiles we're looking for. João Gomes fits in that high energy, that energetic midfielder that goes to and fro, that pushes the team up by reason of carrying the ball, right? So it's clear, but I think there are certain things in his game that is kind of like different from what we've seen from some players, kind of like very different. So guys, let's jump right into those things that are different and let's analyze João Gomes. So first of all, as I said earlier, João Gomes is a box-to-box player, that high energy player that pushes forward. But I think, yes, he pushes the ball forward, but also when you look at his body, the movement of the body, because, when you want to sign a player, it's not just about the player's ability. As a coach, you also look at, the movement of the body, the rhythm of the body is also something you look at in a player. And already when you look at João Gomes, you see that this guy already has definitely that South American movement to his body. It's like an ocean and a wave. And for me, I like that in players, really, that motion, that wave. And I think that's one of the things that South American players, bring in. Even though I know, yes, the African players also have that, but majorly it's a South American trait in terms of that motion. You can actually sense it when you watch him. And I think he has that. And I think when the player has that motion, it's easy for him to have the likes of Pausa, Pausa, the ability to beat the press, and so he has that in his game. Yes, I know definitely it's not the highest level of Pausa, but you can see it in his game because that gravity he has, the low center of gravity he has, and his ability to move like the wave and to beat the press. So clear in his game, really, really clear in his game. And I think also we've analyzed the likes of Baleba, has that in his game. Watin has that in his game also. So this guy also has it, and he has that South American vibe to his game. I think a major thing about this guy that I really, really saw and I was really, really, really impressed with, because it's a player that I see that I can use, if I was a manager, I can use in a lot of situations, is that João Gomes excelled in tight spaces. I watched him, I analyzed him. Yes, I've seen some games against Wolves and all, and I've noticed the guy. But when the name came up, let's go analyze him. Let's see what he does. And I saw that this guy excels in tight spaces, both attacking and defensively. Defensively in the sense of the ability to go in for the tackle, to go in for the interception. Is not shy. And when you see that in a player, one of the things that shows you is that already this guy was brought up on street football. Where you see that like a player that is so comfortable to do business in tight spaces defensively, it shows you something about his development from where he's from, right? It shows you this is the guy that is accustomed to playing street football. That those tight spaces. Also, attacking wise, this is a guy that also is comfortable, 1v1 situations in tight spaces to try and move the ball, right? Try and move the ball. Another thing about him in those tight situations is the fact that, and I noticed it so well about this game, is a fact of how closely the ball is to his feet. How closely the ball is to his feet. With his center of gravity and with how closely the ball is to his feet, is someone that has I know he's 24 years currently, but it's someone that has that developmental part to his game that he can really be a very, very, a good player in terms of possession base. Possession base, having the possession, and trying to retain possession and dominate teams with the balls, because this guy is someone that closely, even when he enters those tight spaces, that you look at it, that let me see how he's going to move with the ball. But you see, the ball is closely to his feet. It's closely to his feet. The weight of touch on the ball, the weight of touch on the ball is really, really there. And I think I like that. I really like that about this game. Even though I know, which I'm going to talk about as we go on, I know that the weight of pass is a different thing. His weight of pass is a different thing. But the weight of touch on the ball while moving is something I'm like, wow, this is a marvel. I love this. I love this. He's not pushing the ball too much. He has that chemistry with the ball to touch the ball, and the ball doesn't push forward. I really like that. I really like that in this game. So he excels in tight spaces, both attacking wise and defensive wise. That's João Gomes. Also, the interceptions. I saw the interceptions is a big part of his game. It's a big part of the game. This is someone that wants and loves to get into tackles, loves and wants to get into interceptions, loves and wants to dispossess the opponent. And when you look at the stats also justifies the eye test in the sense of you just see that this guy really, really, really loves to. So it's a midfielder that I know that if he starts for a team, he's not someone that's going to be shying away from getting into a duel. And I love that about him. Really love that about him, because in the Premier League, you want combative midfielders. And, even when it's going to be your kind of like box-to-box midfielder, you already have someone that has as a screen. If your box-to-box midfielder is also someone that is not shy to enter into tackles and interceptions, it's a good thing for that team. It increases the defensive output of that team. So I think let's go to another part of his game. I think clearly is the work rate. Clearly is the work rate. The work rate is there. He's good on the defensive transition. I've watched a lot of situations where the spaces and the positions you find him in defensive transition, I'm like, this guy, the work rate is there. And I love this kind of players, really. But you guys have known, for those of you that have watched me for long, you know that, yes, I understand the fact that I value talent in the game. But the fact about the matter is, I'm always someone that also says that the foundational basis for every football player has to be the work rate. You must be willing to run. You must be willing to fight. You must be willing to get dirty. And I feel that, yes, I understand that talent is the differential. Talent is what separates these players as they go on. And I understand that there are certain A-list kind of players like likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, and the likes. But the fact is that as a foundational player, you have to be willing to work hard. And when I see João Gomes and the places he covers in the defensive transition of his game, I'm like, yes, this guy has a work rate. And I feel this is a player that a manager will be very, very comfortable, to put into the game. I understand that this guy is going to cover a lot of grass, going to cover a lot of spaces for the team. He's going to be very, very selfless and going to work hard for the team. So let's talk about another part of his positive side of his game. Really is the fact that the guy arrives well. Work rates defensively, offensively is there. But you will look at the way he arrives also, and he's very, very potent in his arrival. Very, very potent in his arrival. So he's those kind of midfielders that arrives at very, very dangerous spaces in the box 18, in front of the box 18, and does something good there, or has, a potent chance there. And I really like that about him. I like that about him. The last thing I would say about his positive that I saw in this game is, I said earlier about the weight of the touch on the ball, and I feel with the movement and everything. When I watch him, when you watch a player, you have a particular feeling about the player. I just feel that this guy looks like a player that will bring balance to a team. He looks like a player that helps the manager, because as you guys know in football, that whenever a manager sets his 11 players, there's a sense in the manager about bringing balance to the team. And I feel João Gomes is one of those players that when you have in the middle of your pack, right, you can believe that this guy gives my team balance, because of the way he touches the ball, the way the motion on the ball, the weight of touch, right? The weight of touch on the ball while moving with the ball is very, very good. And I feel even the defensive rate and everything. So it brings balance to a team in general. Now let's talk about the part of his game that we feel that he needs to improve upon, or the part of the game that we just need to highlight that are seeing development or are not up to that level. I think first and foremost is the range of his passes. The range of his passes. He does a lot more short passes than he does long and mid-range passes. And I think we have to also look at it because United is a team that, our game is based on the verticality of our play in terms of not just directly, but also in terms of to the wings, the likes of Mbeumo, Kunwa, the likes of Dogu, the likes of Ahmad. We love that verticality. And so, as much as I value the work he does in terms of bringing the team forward, but I also feel that he needs to improve upon the range of his passing in terms of to the sides, he needs to a lot of short passes, which, as I said earlier, is good for possession, but he needs to add that part to his game. As a modern midfielder, he must have different variation of and range of passes, which I think will really be good. Other thing about his game is the area duels. The area duels, even though I know that yes, he wins some. You can see certain situations where he wins some, when there's no much contention with it, but also he doesn't win a lot. And the stats also backs it, in terms of the area duel. And I think for me, in this age, for me as a manager, if I was a manager, I really want to have players that are be able to win area duels. But I also understand the fact that football is changing, but football is also changing as well, because when you look at this season in the Premier League and the number of long balls that teams have to use, I want in my midfielder to be able to give me an edge in that area. And when I look at the likes of Watson, the likes of Stiller, and even Gomez, I'm not happy that area duel part of their game is not yet there. But I think it's something that they can improve upon. But definitely, this is a good player. He has Premier League experience. A lot of things I really like about his game. A lot of, as I said, the work with and everything. So I really like about the game. Now, in respect to Manchester United, this is my own opinion. As usual, this is my opinion. So I feel João Gomes is a good player. As much as I don't see so much of a high ceiling, he's 24 years already. And what I see in his game, I don't see so much of a high ceiling in his game. I know, yes, it's good to be a cheaper option. But the fact is he going to be a much more, a player that much more improves the level of United? I don't think so. I think if I was to get João Gomes into United, ultimately he will become a squad player for me. A very, very important squad player. I feel he has that in him. But in terms of a player that comes in and dramatically improves our level, I don't think João Gomes is that player. But he's a player that I'm not against signing him. Because I see a lot of good things in his game and a lot of things that you can improve upon as a coach, and he can be a very beast of a player. But for me, I'm looking at it in terms of, don't expect him to be that player that drastically improves our midfield. But he's also the same player. So guys, these are my opinions on João Gomes and the recent talk about João Gomes being linked to Manchester United. What are your thoughts about the player? Do you agree with some of the things I said? Do you disagree? Let me have, as usual, let's have it in the comment section. Let's discuss further on this player. And if there's any midfielder you feel that we need to discuss upon, or any player at all that you think we need to discuss upon, or any topic at all, just drop it in the comment section. We are here for you. We analyze the game for you. Without you, we are not here. And so we are here because of you. So guys, thank you for sticking with me. I remember humble self, Segun. This is Vertical Football. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And most importantly, don't forget to share. Until I see you next time. Bye.